This video is not financial advice and does not constitute an individual investment recommendation. Nobel Prize-winning economists have gone bankrupt. Harvard-educated fund managers have lost billions in a single trade. Meanwhile, college dropouts have built generational wealth. This is not about luck. This is about cognitive traps, systematic thinking errors that become more dangerous the smarter you are. Your intelligence doesn't protect you from bad financial decisions. In some ways, it makes you more vulnerable. A National Bureau of Economic Research study analyzed financial decisions across IQ levels. The finding contradicted every assumption. High intelligence reduced some obvious mistakes but increased the likelihood of sophisticated ones. Smart people are better at rationalizing bad decisions. They construct more convincing arguments for what they already want to do. Psychologists call this motivated reasoning, and the higher your IQ, the more elaborate and convincing your rationalizations become. Anchoring bias: the first number you see distorts every subsequent evaluation. You look at a house listed at $1.2 million. The next one at $800,000 feels like a bargain even if $800,000 is above market value. Dan Ariely's famous experiment: participants wrote down the last two digits of their social security number, then bid on items in an auction. Those with higher digits bid up to 65% more. Random numbers changed real financial decisions. Smart people believe they're immune to this. They aren't. How anchoring destroys finances in practice. Salary negotiation: whoever names a number first sets the anchor, they almost always win. Car dealerships: they show you the fully loaded model first. The base trim suddenly looks like a reasonable compromise. Investing: you bought a stock at $100. That price becomes your anchor. A drop to 60 feels catastrophic even if the fair value was always 40. Hyperbolic discounting: your brain irrationally devalues future money compared to present money. Classic experiment: choose between $100 now or $110 next week. Most people take the 100. A 10% weekly return is extraordinary, but the brain wants now. Same question reframed: $100 in 1 year or $110 in 1 year and 1 week. Now most people take the 110. Both are in the future, so the brain evaluates them rationally. This inconsistency explains why people don't contribute to their 401k even when they know they should. Hyperbolic discounting explains 3 destructive patterns. 1. Taking a credit card cash advance at 24% APR while not investing at 10% because spending today outweighs future income. 2. Delaying opening a Roth IRA for years: next month, next quarter, next year. 3. Selling stocks at the first sign of gains, locking in a small profit now instead of holding for larger gains later. Smart people do all 3 while knowing they shouldn't. Illusion of control: people believe they influence random events. Ellen Langer's classic study: participants paid more for lottery tickets they chose themselves even though odds were identical. In financial markets, active traders believe they can predict price movements. Research shows 85% of active traders underperform a passive S&P 500 index fund over 10 years. Smarter traders perform worse on average. Because they have more strategies that feel compelling. Confirmation bias: your brain seeks information that confirms existing beliefs and ignores contradicting evidence. You've decided Tesla is going to triple. Now you notice every positive article about the company and scroll past every bearish analysis. Smart people read more financial analysis, but they select analysis that matches their position. More information creates the illusion of a better justified decision without actually improving it. This explains why educated investors hold losing positions for years. The Dunning-Kruger effect: incompetent people overestimate their abilities because they don't know what they don't know. The finance version: beginning investors after 3 months in the market feel more confident than professionals with 20 years of experience. Barber and Odin studied 66,000 brokerage accounts. The most active traders earn 6.5% less per year than passive investors. The activity came from overconfidence. The overconfidence came from ignorance. A smart person takes out a personal loan at 18% APR to renovate their kitchen. Their explanation: I'm increasing my home's resale value, improving quality of life, it's an investment in the asset. Each argument sounds reasonable. Together they form a powerful rationalization for a financially destructive decision. A less sophisticated person would just say, I want a nice kitchen. More honest. Less expensive. Intelligence allows people to build more elaborate systems of self-deception. Concrete cases. Robert Merton and Myron Scholes, Nobel Prize winners in economics, founded long-term capital management. They applied their Nobel-winning models. In 1998, the fund lost $4.6 billion in weeks and nearly collapsed the global financial system. Their models were mathematically brilliant. They failed to account for the fact that markets can behave irrationally longer than any model predicts. Their intelligence became their blind spot. Protection from cognitive traps doesn't come from thinking harder. It comes from building systems that think correctly for you when you can't. Automated investing eliminates the decision moment and all the biases in that moment. Scheduled rebalancing removes the need to time the market. Index funds eliminate the need to pick winners. The system protects the smart person from the smart person. This is what the most successful long-term investors actually do. 3 questions that bypass cognitive traps. 1. What evidence contradicts my position, fights confirmation bias? 2. What would a stranger with no stake in this think, fights anchoring and control illusion? 3. Will I be happy with this decision in 10 years under different scenarios, fights hyperbolic discounting? 3 questions. Under 60 seconds. Meaningfully better decisions. The best long-term investors in the world are not distinguished by the highest IQ. Warren Buffett has said that investing is not a game where the person with a 160 IQ beats the person with a 130 IQ. What matters is temperament. The ability to control emotions. Willingness to acknowledge mistakes. Humility before market complexity. These qualities don't correlate with IQ. They can be deliberately developed. And they determine financial outcomes more than intelligence does. Psychologist Paul Slovic tested professional horse racing handicappers. Additional information about horses increased their confidence in predictions by 21%. But their actual accuracy didn't improve. More data created the feeling of a better justified prediction without actually making it more accurate. In investing, gathering more research makes you feel more certain while your results remain the same or get worse due to overconfidence. Under acute stress, the brain shifts into survival mode. The prefrontal cortex, responsible for long-term planning and rational decisions, reduces activity. The limbic system, reactive and emotion-driven, takes over. Decisions made in panic are optimized for immediate survival in a prehistoric environment. They are catastrophically unsuited for financial markets. Selling everything during a crash is panic, not strategy. Israeli judges approved parole 65% of the time right after a meal. That rate dropped to nearly zero before a break. Your financial decisions are subject to the same degradation. Hunger, fatigue, emotional stress, and sleep deprivation measurably worsen decision quality. Rule: major financial decisions, invest, take on debt, change jobs, should only be made when you're rested, fed, and emotionally neutral. Social proof is one of the most powerful and most dangerous cognitive traps in finance. If everyone around you is buying crypto, it seems right. If everyone is selling stocks, it seems necessary. Market bubbles are built entirely on this mechanism. Smart investors are just as susceptible to social proof as everyone else, they just construct better arguments for why following the crowd is rational in this particular case. Practical tool. When you feel an impulse to make a financial decision, set a 5-minute timer. Do nothing during those 5 minutes. Just sit with the impulse. Most financial impulses lose their urgency within 5 minutes. If the urge remains after 5 minutes, apply a 24-hour rule. This isn't procrastination. It's a transition from limbic to prefrontal thinking. From emotional to rational. Track your financial decisions in writing: what you decided, why, how you felt, what you knew and didn't know. Review quarterly. Which assumptions proved correct? Which didn't? This is the only honest feedback mechanism for your own thinking quality. Without honest feedback, improvement is impossible. Most investors never review their reasoning, only their results. That's why the same mistakes repeat. Intuition is reliable under two conditions: deep domain expertise and fast feedback loops. An experienced emergency room doctor correctly triages patients because thousands of cases have created reliable pattern recognition with rapid feedback. A trader trusting gut feelings on stock picks? No. Because feedback comes months or years later and is distorted by dozens of confounding factors. In finance, intuition helps in operational decisions. In strategic ones, it's a liability. 3 books that rewire financial thinking. Daniel Kahneman, Thinking Fast and Slow: The Foundation of Understanding Cognitive Biases, written accessibly. Morgan Housel, The Psychology of Money: Specific Stories about how Psychology Drives Financial Outcomes. Richard Thaler, Nudge: How Choice Architecture Helps People Make Better Financial Decisions Automatically. Read in this order, from theory to application. The best defense against your own financial psychology: automate decisions you make in a calm, rational moment. Automatic contributions to your 401k eliminate the monthly decision of whether to invest. Scheduled annual rebalancing eliminates trying to time the market. Automatic bill payments eliminate late fees. One good decision made once replaces dozens of potentially bad decisions made monthly under varying emotional states. Financial humility isn't passivity or self-doubt. It's realistic calibration. Acknowledging that the market is more complex than any model. That you have blind spots you cannot see by definition. That randomness plays a larger role in short-term results than skill. The investors who build lasting wealth across decades share this trait more consistently than any level of IQ or educational background. Most financial education teaches mechanics, accounts, funds, rates, calculations. But research consistently shows knowing what to do explains only a fraction of whether people actually do it. The deeper driver is emotional beliefs formed before age 7. Mechanics without psychology is half a toolkit. The program runs deeper than the knowledge. The best defense against your own financial psychology is automation. Decisions made once in a calm, rational state: automatic 401k contributions, scheduled index fund purchases, automatic bill payments, replace potentially dozens of emotionally influenced monthly decisions. One good decision made once protects you from the version of yourself making decisions at 11 p.m. after a stressful day. Financial outcomes are determined less by a few large decisions and more by the accumulation of small daily choices. The daily coffee is not the issue. The pattern of hundreds of small emotionally driven purchases is. The same pattern in reverse: small consistent investments, automatic contributions, redirected impulse purchases compounds into a fundamentally different financial position over 20 years. Small decisions compound. In both directions. 3 books that rewire financial thinking at the psychology level. Morgan Housel, The Psychology of Money: Specific Stories about how Emotions and Beliefs Drive Financial Outcomes. Daniel Kahneman, Thinking Fast and Slow: The Foundational Science of How the Brain Makes Decisions Under Uncertainty. Brad Klontz, Mind Over Money: Direct Work on Financial Scripts and Deep Money Beliefs. Read in this order. Financial well-being is not a state you reach and maintain effortlessly. It's a practice. Like physical fitness, not a diet you do once but a way of living you maintain. Psychological patterns return. Markets change. Life circumstances change. Financial psychology is a skill that develops and requires upkeep. Not as heavy labor, as conscious habit that becomes easier with time. The most important thing to understand: your current relationship with money is not fixed. It formed through experience. It can change through new experience. The beliefs you have about what you deserve, what's possible, what money means, these are learned. They can be unlearned and replaced. This is not a quick process. But it is a real one. The brain changes through consistent new experience. That's neuroplasticity in the most practical form. One action to take before this tab closes. Open the Notes app on your phone. Write one money belief from your childhood. Write one financial habit you want to change. Write one specific step you'll take this week. 3 lines. 3 minutes. This is how change begins, not through inspiration but through commitment written down. The psychology of money changes through action, not through watching content about the psychology of money. Your environment shapes your financial behavior more than your willpower does. If you live surrounded by people who spend on status and update their cars every 2 years, you feel the pull. If your phone has retail apps on the home screen, you browse more. If your 401k is opt-in rather than opt-out, you contribute less. Changing your environment, not just your intentions, produces lasting behavioral change with less daily effort. The core insight of financial psychology in 3 sentences. 1. You know what you should do financially, the problem is usually psychological, not informational. 2. Your financial behavior today is shaped by beliefs formed before you were old enough to critically evaluate them. 3. Those beliefs can change through new experience, new environment, and deliberate practice. Everything else in this video is elaboration on these 3 sentences. When changing financial behavior, start with the change that requires the least willpower and gives the clearest feedback. Usually that's automation. Open a Roth IRA. Set it to invest $50 per month automatically. Done. Now every month a small piece of your paycheck builds tax-free. You don't decide, you don't feel it, you don't talk yourself out of it. One automated action, installed once, working permanently. The single mindset shift that changes the most, moving from I don't have enough to I decide how to use what I have. Scarcity thinking is reactive. It waits for more before acting. Intentional thinking acts with what exists now. Even $5 per month invested intentionally, with understanding of why, is a different relationship with money than $500 saved by default without awareness. The amount matters less than the intentionality. Financial tools, accounts, funds, budgets, strategies work when your psychology supports using them consistently. Without that foundation, the best financial plan in the world produces inconsistent results. Start with understanding your financial psychology. Then build the systems. The sequence matters. Psychology first. Tools second. In that order, both compound. Multiple large studies have examined whether education level predicts financial decision quality. The consistent finding, formal education weakly predicts financial behavior. Stronger predictors are financial socialization in childhood, specific financial skill development, and emotional relationship with money. A PhD economist with unresolved money anxiety makes systematically worse financial decisions than a high school graduate with a healthy financial program. Research shows financial outcomes correlate significantly with the financial habits of your 5 closest contacts. If your social circle treats wealth as suspicious and savings as deprivation, your behavior trends toward theirs. Finding 1 or 2 people with healthy financial habits creates an accountability relationship. Not expensive financial advisors. Just people sharing a journey honestly. Shared goals compound like interest. Every powerful financial strategy, compound investing, behavioral change, thermostat recalibration, requires the same resource, time. American culture is biased toward immediate feedback and quick returns. This cultural bias works against the most effective financial behaviors. The investors who build real wealth across decades share one trait more than any other: they are comfortable waiting. Patience isn't passive. It's an active practice in a world of constant stimulation. Here's the sequence that produces lasting financial change. First, understand your financial psychology, beliefs, triggers, thermostat level, emotional relationship with money. Second, build systems that work with your psychology rather than against it, automation, pre-committed rules, environment design. Third, add mechanics, specific accounts, funds, tax strategies. In this order, all 3 layers work together. In any other order, the mechanics don't stick. If this topic connected with you, 2 directions for going deeper. First, Morgan Housel's The Psychology of Money. Short, story-based, immediately applicable to your own financial decisions. Second, Brad Klontz's research on financial scripts, widely available through his website and published papers. Both give you frameworks for understanding your own financial programming. Start with Housel if you haven't read it. It's the most accessible entry point. The most useful reframe: money is not a measure of your worth as a person. Money is a tool. It does what you direct it to do, or it does what your psychology directs it to do by default. Taking conscious control of that direction requires understanding the psychology first. Your income is the output of current skills, market conditions, and decisions. Your value as a human being is not subject to market fluctuations. These are different categories. Keep them separate. 3 things you can do by Monday. 1. Open your Notes app and write one money belief you want to examine from your childhood. 2. Check if your 401k contributions are automated. If not, set it up today. 3. The next time you feel the urge to make an unplanned purchase, wait 24 hours first. 3 actions. 0 cost. They won't transform your finances overnight. But they start the sequence that will. Every psychological pattern discussed in this video operates on a timescale that your financial decisions also operate on. The thermostat took years to calibrate, it takes years to recalibrate. Compound interest takes decades to show its full power. Behavioral change takes months to become habit. The financial and psychological timelines are aligned. Patience with both the money and the psychology is what produces outcomes that actually change how you live. Drop a comment below. Which of the 5 traps do you recognize in yourself? Anchoring, discounting, illusion of control, confirmation bias, or Dunning-Kruger? Naming it is the first step to catching it. If this video gave you something useful, hit like. Subscribe and ring the bell so you don't miss new breakdowns. See you next time.